I went into 300 March to Glory not expecting much, not expecting anything. I mean, people say it's you know people see movies with such action packed and a lot of gore, and they think, oh, it would make a great video game. I watched 300. I really liked the movie, but I thought about it being in a video game form, and I was like, no way. It would suck as a video game. I mean, the concept is 300 guys against millions of Persian soldiers, and elephants and beasts and all that other crap. So that's the concept. I mean, it's a cool concept if that was it. But these 300 guys all wear the same armor, have the same weapon, and fight this war or battle for like 3 days or 7 days straight using the exact same tactics. Shield in, phalanx, spear out. When the spear breaks, use the sword. That's pretty much the tactic of 300. And the only variety to be really had is with the enemy Persian soldiers. There's so many different kinds of Persian enemies. There's the war elephants. There's the immortal. If we go by the movie, of course, it is not how it happened in the Frank Miller comic book or in the movies. But if we just go by the movie as an inspiration, the Persian soldiers, they have so many different kinds of stuff. So that's where all the variety to be had. But the actual battle itself took place in one setting, with one tactic, with one, same kind of soldiers. So, I don't know, to make a video game out of that concept doesn't seem like it would do really any good, But I think the actual game, the PSP game itself, I wasn't expecting much, and it wasn't really that great, but I had quite a good time with it. I find it quite interesting how it managed to do the combat, where it was about you could choose between the spear and the sword, and spear is the only weapon that could actually break the shields of enemies, and a lot of enemies have shields, and every so often the skies would darken, and all these arrows, the Persian arrows, just come raining down, and at that moment you have to stop fighting, to stop everything altogether, and just get down and block with your shield. That was a really cool concept. I mean, there's a lot of little tidbits here and there with the game that I really enjoyed. The one thing that really got annoying to me was when, me personally, I just hated that the spear does so little damage, and when there's enemies that have, there's so many different enemy types that can be killed in only certain ways. Some enemies have shields, so you have to break their shield first and kill it. Some enemies can only be killed by, when they're fallen to the ground, you stab them as they're fallen. Some enemies can only be killed by you going into rage mode, or this blood gore mode, where your attack is, has double the power. So, I mean, all that was really cool, but at the same time really tedious, because I just wanted to just wreak havoc and just kill everything in my path. But different enemy types would show up, and I would have to be like, oh god, I have to do this, I have to do that. So that was really one thing that bothered me. It kind of mired and kind of frustrated the pace of the combat. But I actually liked a lot of scenarios that went in, and the stills and the voiceovers that made the cutscenes were really cool. I liked those a lot. The game was actually pretty good for what 300 was. If I made a game out of 300 the movie, I would have made it like an arcade game, where it's, I don't know, I made a blog about this before on game trailers, but it would be something like you're the same guy, and you fight waves and waves of enemies, but each wave gets harder and harder and more various. But the only thing that you do as the group of 300 soldiers is that you just time when to block and when to strike and when to slash, and the entire game would be based around that timing. And also, you have 300 soldiers around you, and every time your allies gets more of your allies gets lost, the harder it becomes. I was thinking more of an arcade game in that respect, and maybe add a co-op here and there, or that'd be the online part of it, the online leaderboards or stuff like that. I was thinking of an arcade game, but here they made it more of an action adventure style game. I found a lot of reviews that say it's a God of War ripoff, and really it's not. It's because God of War is just really fast paced. You go from one place to another, and it's all about the background changing. It's like being a part of painting. That's what God of War is, with the extremely well done storyline and a lot of puzzle solving, and the hack and slash combo in both three God of War games has really been heavy attack and light attack, and just it's been that kind of experience where 300 is kind of like that, but I feel like it's really different. So I don't think it's a God of War clone in that sense, but at the same time it is like an action adventure game, and there's even some stealth elements to it, which those were some interesting parts. Although I mean they weren't that great, but hey, they were pretty interesting. There's a lot of different variety in this game. All the boss battles pretty much play the same, but although the second to last boss battle was really hard because I didn't have enough points to get the super upgrade that would have helped me. But other than that, even though the boss battles were tedious and some parts of the game was just tedious, I think it was a fairly well licensed game. I don't really expect much out of licensed games, and maybe that's why I didn't think it was a bad game or anything. But it was fairly enjoyable. I mean, people complain that this should have been done on the PS3 or the 360 or on the PC. But really, I think this kind of movie is something that no matter what system, no matter how powerful the graphics are done, it's not really a good game concept, first of all. So, I mean, I think it's just how it turned out. And of course, this is coming from me, who actually believes, I have a kind of a strong belief that movies and games should just be farther, they should just be separate things. They shouldn't really combine. Movies shouldn't be games, and games shouldn't be movies. And I have a kind of a strict kind of belief in that. Of course, some games prove me wrong, like those Star Wars games, whatever. But in the case of 300, I think it's something just better left alone as a comic book or as a movie. As a game concept, I mean, it is actiony. There's a lot of gore, but I think the PSP one was probably as good as it could get with the concept of 300.